Every person experiences a turning point when they realize that they are doing something wrong, that they have been living wrong, that they have been behaving incorrectly, speaking incorrectly, acting incorrectly, and especially in relation to money. This realization comes with time, when you realize that your actions have led to you simply being broke. Welcome to From Broke to Rich, How Money Really Works. In this audiobook, we will talk about how to stop being broke and quickly change your life from broke to rich, because we will talk about how to live right and how money really works. This is not another motivational speech telling you to grind harder. This is not a fantasy about overnight success. This is not a lucky story meant to inspire envy. This is a map that explains why money behaves the way it does, why most people never escape survival mode, and how wealth is actually built from zero, from confusion, from nothing. Because here's the truth, most people never hear. Money is a system, and systems reward understanding, not effort. You were not born broke because you lacked ambition. You did not stay broke because you lacked discipline. You struggled because you were never taught the rules. Think about it. You were taught how to obey schedules, how to pass tests, how to trade time for approval, how to work hard for someone else's dream. But were you taught how money multiplies, how wealth compounds, how risk is managed instead of avoided, how ownership changes everything? No. And that omission is not accidental, because once you understand money, you stop chasing it and start directing it. This audiobook will not rush you. It will not overwhelm you with jargon. It will strip money down to its core mechanics and rebuild your understanding from the ground up. We will talk about why income alone never creates wealth, why saving feels safe but keeps you stuck, why debt is not the enemy but ignorance is, why rich people play a different game entirely, and why time works for some people and against others. Most importantly, we will confront a hard truth early. You cannot fix your financial life by changing numbers alone. You must change how you see money, because money responds to perception. Two people can earn the same amount. One builds freedom, the other builds stress. Same income, different understanding. That difference is everything. If you are listening to this right now, it means something inside you is awake. You feel it when bills arrive, when you check your balance, when you imagine your future and feel uncertainty instead of excitement. That feeling is not weakness. It is awareness beginning, and awareness is the first form of wealth. Over the next chapters, you will slowly realize something unsettling, but powerful. You were never bad with money. You were simply playing a game without knowing the rules. And once you see the rules clearly, you cannot unsee them. This is where the illusion starts to crack. This is where confusion turns into clarity. This is where broke stops being an identity and becomes a temporary starting point. Because wealth is not luck. It is not talent. It is not reserved for the chosen. It is built step by step by those who understand how money actually moves. And in the next chapter, we begin with the most dangerous myth of all, the lie that keeps millions trapped forever, the lie that hard work alone creates wealth. Hang on a sec. Hey there. Dear viewers, write in the comments what you'd like us to talk about in the next video. We promise to read all the comments and pick the best and most relevant topics. Thanks. Chapter 2. The Hard Work Trap. Why Effort Alone Keeps You. Poor hard work is not the problem. Believing that hard work is enough, that is the trap. From the moment you were young, the message was repeated like a sacred law. Work hard, stay disciplined, be reliable, and one day, success will find you. But look around. Millions work hard every single day. They wake up early. They sacrifice weekends. They give their best energy to jobs they don't control. And still, they remain stuck. So the question becomes uncomfortable, but unavoidable. If hard work creates wealth, why are the hardest workers often the poorest? Construction workers destroy their bodies. Nurses run on exhaustion. Factory workers trade health for wages. Single parents carry impossible loads. Are they lazy? Of course not. Then what's missing? The answer changes everything. Hard work creates income. Wealth is created by leverage. This is the distinction that separates survival from freedom. Income is what you earn when you show up. Wealth is what grows when you don't. Hard work ties money to time. Wealth unties them. And this is where most people lose the game without realizing it. They believe effort is the currency. But effort is not scalable. There are only 24 hours in a day. There are only so many years of energy in a body. No matter how disciplined you are, time always wins. The wealthy understand this early or learn it painfully. If your income depends entirely on your presence, you are not building wealth. You are renting your life. This does not mean hard work is useless. It means hard work must be aimed, not worshipped. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. Hard work without direction creates exhaustion. Hard work with leverage creates freedom. The tragedy is that most people are trained to work inside systems, not build systems. They are taught to be valuable employees, not strategic owners. They optimize for approval, not ownership. And slowly, invisibly, this mindset becomes a cage. They say things like, I just need to earn a little more. Once I get a raise, things will change. Next year will be better. But raises increase lifestyle faster than freedom, and more income without strategy simply means a more expensive trap. Money leaks silently when structure is missing. That's why people making six figures still feel broke. Why lottery winners go bankrupt. Why success without understanding collapses. Because money magnifies behavior. And if behavior hasn't evolved, money doesn't save you. It exposes you. The wealthy don't escape hard work. They redirect it. They work hardest at the beginning. But they work on assets, not tasks. They build things that keep working after effort stops. Businesses, systems, investments, skills that scale, decisions that compound. While most people trade hours, the wealthy trade ideas. This is not about intelligence. It's about positioning. You can work harder than anyone in the room and still be playing the wrong game. The poor ask, how can I earn more? The rich ask, how can this earn without me? That single shift creates a lifetime gap. And here's the most dangerous part of the hard work myth. It makes people proud of struggle. They wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. They glorify being busy. They equate suffering with virtue. But money does not reward suffering. It rewards value delivered efficiently. You don't get paid for effort. You get paid for results that others value. And results are multiplied through systems. This audiobook is not asking you to stop working. It's asking you to stop worshiping effort and start respecting structure. Because until you do, you will always feel like you're climbing, but never arriving. In the next chapter, we expose another illusion that keeps people stuck. The belief that saving money is the path to wealth. It feels safe, it feels responsible, and it quietly limits everything. Dear viewers, write which city you're from. It's interesting to see which corners of the world are watching our videos. Chapter 3. Why Saving Money Will Never Make You Rich. The Comfort Trap, disguised as responsibility. Saving money feels smart. It feels mature. It feels responsible. It feels like progress. You were taught that saving is the foundation of financial security. That if you just put money aside, if you're careful, if you avoid risk, everything will work out. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Saving money will never make you rich. It will only slow down how poor you become. This doesn't mean saving is bad. It means saving is defensive, not offensive, and wealth is never built by defense alone. Let's break the illusion. When you save, your money sits still. At best, it keeps pace with inflation, and often it silently loses value. Prices rise, time passes, your purchasing power shrinks, and while your savings account feels safe, it's quietly being taxed by reality. The wealthy understand something early. Money that doesn't move is money that decays. This is why people can save for 30 years and still not be free. Because freedom doesn't come from money stored. It comes from money working. Savings create stability, assets create leverage, and confusing the two is one of the most expensive mistakes people make. Most people save with fear. Fear of losing. Fear of uncertainty. Fear of making the wrong move, so they choose inaction. But inaction is still a decision, and it has a cost. Every year your money stays idle, you lose opportunity. The rich don't hate savings. They just don't worship it. They save enough to stay liquid, then they deploy the rest. Because money is not meant to be admired in accounts. It's meant to be positioned. Think of money like energy. Stored energy does nothing. Directed energy changes everything. This is why someone earning less than you can build more wealth. They don't just save, they allocate. They ask different questions. Where can this grow? What problem can this solve? How can this multiply? Most people ask, how can I protect this? Protection feels safe. Growth feels uncertain. But certainty has a ceiling, and safety has a limit. Wealth lives on the other side of intelligent risk, not reckless risk. Calculated, informed, intentional risk. Risk with structure, risk with education, risk with a margin of error. The wealthy don't gamble. They design systems where probability favors them. That's the difference. Saving delays pain. Investing changes outcomes. And here's the truth most people avoid. You cannot save your way out of a system designed to extract from you. Rent rises, taxes rise, costs rise. Your savings don't control these forces. Ownership does. This is why the wealthy focus on equity, cash flow, ownership, control. Because control is the real currency. Money saved is still someone else's system. Money invested becomes your system. This is not about being reckless. It's about being realistic. If you rely only on saving, you are betting your future on stability in a world built on change. The rich don't do that. They accept uncertainty and learn how to navigate it. Because once you understand how money really works, fear turns into strategy. In the next chapter, we uncover the real reason most people never escape the paycheck cycle. Even when they earn more, it's not income, it's not intelligence, it's something far more subtle. Dear viewers, please write in the comments what assets you buy or are interested in. Perhaps these are stocks or maybe cryptocurrency. It is interesting to see how you structure your investment portfolio. Also, please write what you think about real estate. Is it still relevant to buy flats today? Chapter 4. The Paycheck Illusion. Why earning more rarely sets you free. Most people believe the solution to their money problems is simple. If I just made more money, everything would change. So they work harder. They chase promotions. They add side hustles. They trade more hours for a slightly bigger number, and for a moment, it feels like progress. But then something strange happens. The stress stays. The pressure stays. The dependence stays. Only the numbers get bigger. This is the paycheck illusion, the lie that income equals freedom. In reality, income without control is just a higher-level trap, because a paycheck doesn't represent independence. It represents permission, permission to live, permission to rest, permission to plan your future. And the moment that permission disappears, so does your stability. The wealthy understand this early. They don't chase income. They chase independence from income. That sounds backwards until you see the pattern. People who earn more often spend more. They upgrade lifestyles before upgrading systems. Bigger house, better car, more subscriptions, higher expectations, and suddenly the bigger paycheck becomes necessary just to stand still. This is why doctors, lawyers, executives, some of the highest earners, still feel trapped. Because their lifestyle depends on constant performance. Miss a month, miss a quarter, miss a year, everything collapses. That is not freedom. That is fragility disguised as success. A paycheck is linear, time in, money out. Stop the input, the output dies. The rich build non-linear income, money that doesn't require constant presence, money that continues even when they step away. This is the real difference. Not how much you earn, but how dependent you are on earning it again tomorrow. Most people don't realize they're trapped because the cage looks comfortable. The salary arrives on schedule, bills get paid, life moves forward, but comfort is dangerous because comfort delays urgency, and urgency is what forces transformation. The paycheck illusion works because it rewards obedience. Be reliable, be predictable, be available, and the system will take care of you, just enough to keep you inside it. But systems don't reward independence. They extract it. The wealthy see income differently. To them, income is fuel, not the destination. They don't ask, how can I earn more? They ask, how can I remove myself from needing to earn at all? That question changes everything. Instead of chasing raises, they build assets. Instead of negotiating salaries, they negotiate ownership. Instead of trading hours, they design leverage. Because leverage multiplies effort. One decision, repeated return. That's how wealth compounds. And here's the hardest truth to accept. You can earn 6 figures and still be broke in mindset. Because if your income stops, your life stops. You don't own wealth. You rent stability. The paycheck illusion convinces people they're safe right up until the moment they're not. Layoffs, automation, economic shifts, health issues. Suddenly, the system reveals its fragility. The rich prepare for this long before it happens. They don't panic about income. They design redundancy, multiple streams, multiple assets, multiple layers of security. Not because they're paranoid, but because they understand reality. Money that depends on your presence is money that controls you. Money that works without you is money that sets you free. This chapter isn't telling you to quit your job. It's telling you to outgrow dependence on it. Your job can fund your escape if you stop mistaking it for the destination. In the next chapter, we expose the single belief that keeps people loyal to the paycheck trap longer than necessary, even when they know something is wrong. It's subtle, it's common, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The topic of this video was chosen by you, our viewers. In most of our videos, we remind you that you can write interesting topics you would like to hear about in the comments. We take the most interesting ones into consideration. Today's video topic was suggested by one of our viewers in the comments. Frank, thank you for this theme. If you want us to cover a topic that interests you, write it in the comments. This will help us make videos on topics that are interesting to you, our viewers. Chapter 5, The Comfort Trap. Why familiar struggle feels safer than unfamiliar growth. There is a reason most people stay exactly where they are, even when they know it isn't working. It isn't laziness. It isn't lack of intelligence. It isn't bad luck. It's comfort. Not comfort as pleasure. Comfort as familiar pain. Humans are wired to choose the known over the unknown, even when the known is slowly destroying them. A job you hate but understand. A paycheck that barely covers life but arrives on time. A routine that drains you but feels predictable. This is the comfort trap, and it is one of the most powerful forces keeping people poor. The mind doesn't prioritize growth. It prioritizes survival, and survival prefers patterns. The moment you consider breaking away, starting a business, learning investing, building assets, changing how you think, the brain activates fear. What if it fails? What if I look stupid? What if I lose what little stability I have? So you stay, not because staying is good, but because leaving feels dangerous. This is how people spend decades in situations they outgrew years ago. The system benefits from this. Comfortable workers are compliant workers. Predictable people are controllable people. The comfort trap doesn't shout. It whispers. It's not that bad. Other people have it worse. Be grateful. Maybe later. Later becomes years. Years become a lifetime. And suddenly, the idea of change feels impossible. The wealthy learn to override this instinct. They train themselves to see comfort as a warning sign, not a reward. If something feels too safe for too long, they ask a dangerous question. What is this costing me? Comfort costs ambition. Comfort dulls urgency. Comfort delays action until options disappear. That's why so many people only change after pain forces them. Job loss, debt crisis, health scare, divorce, burnout. Pain breaks the comfort spell. But the wealthy don't wait for pain. They manufacture constructive discomfort. They invest before they feel ready. They learn skills before they're required. They take risks while the safety net still exists. They move when it's uncomfortable, because that's when growth is cheapest. The comfort trap also hides behind identity. I'm just not good with money. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a risk taker. These aren't truths. They are defensive stories. Stories the mind tells to justify staying the same, because change threatens identity. If you admit you could do more, you must also admit you chose not to. And that realization is painful. So the brain protects itself with excuses. The wealthy dismantle these stories early. They understand that identity is not fixed. It is trained. No one is born thinking in assets. No one is born understanding leverage. No one is born disciplined with money. These are learned behaviors. and anything learned can be relearned. The comfort trap survives on repetition. Same route to work, same conversation, same consumption, same financial decisions. Repetition creates normalization, and normalization makes dysfunction feel normal. Breaking the comfort trap requires interruption, new inputs, new environments, new questions. That's why exposure matters. When you see what's possible, your old comfort becomes unbearable. Once you understand how money really works, working only for a paycheck feels irrational. Once you see people earning without trading hours feels primitive. Knowledge creates discomfort, and discomfort creates movement. This audiobook exists to disrupt comfort, to make staying the same more painful than changing. Because the most dangerous thing isn't failure. It's staying comfortable in a life that could have been more. In the next chapter, we'll expose the invisible rules of the money game. The rules no one teaches, but everyone is forced to play by. Once you see the rules, you stop blaming yourself and start playing to win. Dear friend, you're not here by accident. What brought you to this video today? Chapter 6. The Invisible Rules of the Money Game. Why you can work hard and still lose. Most people believe money is earned by effort. That belief alone keeps them trapped because money doesn't respond to effort. Money responds to structure, and every system has rules. The tragedy is not that people are bad with money. It's that they were never shown the rules of the game they're forced to play. Imagine playing chess without knowing how the pieces move. You could try harder, you could play longer, you could sweat and struggle, you would still lose. That's how most people experience money. They follow instructions given by people who never mastered the game themselves. Work hard. Save what's left. Be loyal. Hope for promotions. Retire someday. These are not wealth rules. They are survival rules, and survival rules keep you dependent. The first invisible rule of money is this: money flows to ownership, not labor. If you do not own what produces income, you will always be limited by time. Time is the most expensive currency, and the one the poor are forced to sell. Every paycheck is proof of dependency, not because work is bad, but because work without ownership has a ceiling. The second rule: money rewards leverage, not effort. Leverage is the ability to produce results without proportional input. Technology is leverage. Capital is leverage. Systems are leverage. People are leverage. The wealthy build once and get paid repeatedly. The poor repeat effort endlessly for the same pay. That's not a moral difference. It's a structural one. The third rule: money grows where attention goes. If you don't track it, it leaks. If you don't plan it, it disappears. If you don't direct it, someone else will. Corporations understand this deeply. They spend billions fighting for attention because attention controls money. Most people give their attention away cheaply, then wonder why their bank account reflects that neglect. The fourth rule: money compounds, but only under patience. Compounding is slow at first, so slow it feels pointless. That's why most people quit. They want quick proof, instant reward, visible progress. But wealth is built in silence. The first years show nothing. Then suddenly, everything changes. The poor misunderstand this delay and conclude, this doesn't work. The wealthy understand the delay and say, stay the course. The fifth rule: money avoids desperation. Chasing money aggressively repels it. Why? Because desperation leads to bad decisions, high-risk shortcuts, emotional investing, impulse spending, short-term thinking. Wealth requires calm. Calm creates clarity. Clarity creates consistency. Consistency creates compounding. The invisible rules also include social conditioning. You are taught to talk openly about struggles, but quietly about ambition, to celebrate consumption, but criticize accumulation, to admire rich lifestyles, but distrust rich people. This creates internal conflict. You want wealth, but subconsciously associate it with guilt or danger. The mind resists what it believes is unsafe. Until that belief is rewritten, money will always feel just out of reach. Another rule: income solves today. Assets solve forever. Income pays bills. Assets pay freedom. Yet most people chase income only. More hours, more stress, more burnout. They ignore assets because assets require delayed gratification. Assets demand sacrifice now for freedom later. The system is designed so most people never build them, because asset builders don't panic. They don't depend. They don't comply easily. Understanding these rules doesn't make you rich overnight, but it removes confusion, and clarity is power. Once you know the rules, you stop blaming yourself. You stop thinking you're broken. You realize you were playing a game designed for you to lose unless you changed how you play. In the next chapter, we'll break down the most dangerous lie ever sold about success. The lie that keeps people exhausted, obedient, and broke. Once that lie collapses, your entire relationship with work, money, and time begins to change. Chapter 7, The Lie of Hard Work, Why Effort Alone Will Never Make You Rich. Hard work feels honest. It feels noble. It feels safe. You wake up early. You stay late. You give your best. And yet, the bank account barely moves. Bills pile up. Time disappears. Energy drains. This is not because you are lazy. It's because you were sold a lie. The lie is simple. If you work hard enough, you'll succeed. This lie keeps millions exhausted but hopeful, busy but stuck, productive but poor. Hard work is not the enemy. Blind hard work is. Hard work without direction creates burnout, not wealth. The world doesn't reward effort. It rewards value, and value is not measured in hours. It's measured in outcomes. The janitor may work harder than the CEO. The factory worker may sweat more than the investor, but money flows toward leverage, not exhaustion. The system depends on people believing hard work is enough, because if everyone understood leverage, the system would collapse. Hard work keeps you compliant. It teaches you to trade life for money, hour by hour, year by year. The wealthy do not escape work. They escape linear work. Linear work pays once. You work arrow, you get paid arrow, it ends. Non-linear work pays repeatedly. You build once, arrow, it produces forever. This is the difference between effort and systems. The lie of hard work also creates guilt. When you struggle, you assume it's your fault. You work more. You sacrifice sleep. You ignore health. You push harder. And when nothing changes, you feel shame. But the problem was never your effort. The problem was the framework. Hard work without ownership is a treadmill. No matter how fast you run, you stay in the same place. Ownership changes everything. Ownership converts effort into equity. Equity compounds. Effort doesn't. That's why the wealthy obsess over assets, systems, processes, distribution, scalability. They ask different questions, not how hard can I work, but how can this work without me? Not how many hours, but how many times? Not what pays today, but what pays again tomorrow. The lie of hard work also keeps people distracted. Busy people don't question systems. Tired people don't plan. Exhausted people don't rebel. They just survive. And survival thinking blocks long-term strategy. Another hidden danger of hard work is identity. People become proud of being grinders. They wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But pride can become a prison, because when your identity is effort, you resist efficiency. You reject shortcuts, even smart ones. You feel guilty resting. You fear stepping back. But rest is not weakness, it's perspective. Only rested minds see patterns. Only calm minds make strategic decisions. The wealthy rest not because they're lazy, but because clarity is profitable. The truth is uncomfortable. You can work harder and get poorer. You can work less and get richer. The difference is how the work is structured. Wealth is not built by intensity alone. It's built by alignment. Alignment between effort and outcome, between time and leverage, between action and multiplication. The moment you see this, something shifts. You stop asking for motivation. You start designing systems. You stop chasing hustle. You start chasing efficiency. In the next chapter, we'll expose the real reason money seems to avoid certain people and why some attract opportunities effortlessly. Once you understand that mechanism, you'll stop chasing money and start positioning yourself to receive it. Riend, be honest with me. What belief about money or success are you ready to drop today? Chapter 8. Why money avoids some people and chases others. The invisible rules of financial gravity. Have you ever noticed this? Some people barely try and opportunities fall into their lap, while others grind endlessly and nothing sticks. It feels unfair. It feels random. But it isn't. Money follows rules, invisible rules, psychological rules, behavioral rules. Money doesn't respond to need, it responds to positioning. This is the part no one tells you. Money is not emotional. Money is not moral. Money is not fair. Money is directional. It flows toward people who already look like they can handle it. This is why desperation repels wealth. When someone needs money, every decision becomes short-term, fear-based, reactive, and fear is expensive. Fear causes bad deals, impulsive choices, shortcuts, emotional spending, missed opportunities. Money avoids chaos. It avoids instability. It avoids people who would misuse it. This is not punishment. It's protection. Money is attracted to clarity. Clarity of thinking, clarity of goals, clarity of systems. The wealthy don't chase money. They build containers for it. Think about this. If rain is falling, the person with buckets gets wet in a good way. The person without buckets just gets soaked. Same rain, different outcome. Money works the same way. Opportunities rain constantly, but only prepared minds capture them. Unprepared minds let them pass or waste them. This is why mindset precedes money. Before wealth appears externally, it must exist internally as capacity. Capacity to delay gratification, capacity to manage risk, capacity to think long-term, capacity to stay calm under pressure. When money senses capacity, it stays. When it senses fragility, it leaves. This explains why lottery winners often go broke. They received money, but not the mindset. Money without structure destroys. Money without discipline disappears. Money without vision evaporates. This is also why wealthy people seem lucky. They aren't lucky. They are ready. They recognize patterns others miss. They see leverage where others see labor. They hear opportunity where others hear noise. And most importantly, they act without panic. Money hates panic. Panic creates volatility. Volatility destroys trust. Banks, investors, partners, they all seek stability, even subconsciously. This is why calm people attract capital. Calm signals control. Control signals competence. Competence signals safety. Safety attracts money. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. If money consistently avoids you, it's not personal. It's informational. It's feedback. Feedback about habits. Feedback about decision-making. Feedback about emotional regulation. Feedback about systems, or lack of them. Money is a mirror. It reflects how you treat time, how you treat yourself, how you treat responsibility. People who respect money attract more of it. Not worship. Respect. They track it. They plan it. They assign it roles. They don't let it drift. They don't spend emotionally. They don't use money to soothe pain. They use money as a tool. Tools go to tool makers, not to people who swing wildly. Another reason money avoids people is inconsistency, inconsistent effort, inconsistent habits, inconsistent thinking. Money loves predictability. Predictable systems outperform unpredictable hustle. This is why businesses scale, but jobs cap. A business can run the same process thousands of times. A job requires you every single time. Money prefers things that repeat. This is why routines beat motivation. Motivation is emotional. Routines are mechanical. Money prefers mechanics. Once you understand this, you stop asking, why can't I catch a break? And start asking, what am I signaling? Signals matter. Your schedule signals priorities. Your spending signals discipline. Your environment signals standards. Your language signals mindset. Everything communicates, and money is listening. In the next chapter, we'll break down the exact mental shifts that move you from being overlooked to being sought after. Not hype, not luck, not fantasy, just alignment with how money actually works. Once you adopt those shifts, you won't feel like you're chasing wealth anymore. You'll feel like you're finally standing where it naturally flows. Friend, write your opinion on this topic in the comments. Do you agree with us or not? I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Chapter 9, The Quiet Advantage, How the Rich Think in Systems, Not Effort. Why hard workers stay stuck and strategic thinkers. Escape. Most people believe effort creates wealth. That belief feels noble. It feels fair. It feels comforting, and it's wrong. Effort creates exhaustion. Systems create wealth. This is the quiet advantage of the rich. They don't push harder. They design smarter. They don't ask, how hard can I work? They ask, how can this work without me? This single shift changes everything. A hard worker thinks in hours. A wealthy thinker thinks in outcomes. A hard worker asks, what do I need to do today? A wealthy thinker asks, what system, once built, will keep producing tomorrow? This is why two people can work equally hard for 10 years and end up in completely different financial realities. One kept trading time. The other built leverage. Leverage is the multiplier of life. Leverage turns one decision into thousands of results. Time has no leverage. Energy has no leverage. Effort has no leverage. Systems do. Think about it. A book is leverage. A business is leverage. An investment is leverage. A skill that compounds is leverage. The rich obsess over leverage, not because they're lazy, but because they understand limits. Your body has limits. Your time has limits. Your energy has limits. Systems don't. This is why the wealthy protect their focus. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less that matters more. The average person fills their day with tasks. The wealthy design their day around decisions. Tasks drain. Decisions compound. This is also why wealthy people seem calm. They're not juggling everything. They're not reacting to every message. They're not pulled into chaos. They build once, then let the structure carry the load. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people hide behind hard work because systems require responsibility. A system exposes flaws. If it doesn't work, you can't blame effort. You must blame design. Design requires thinking. Thinking requires honesty. And honesty is hard. So people stay busy instead. Busy feels productive. Busy feels safe. But busy is a trap. Busy keeps you running without ever moving forward. The wealthy are allergic to busy. They eliminate, automate, and delegate. They ask questions like, can this be removed? Can this be simplified? Can this be repeated? Can this be owned instead of rented? Ownership is the end goal. When you own the system, you own the results. This is why assets matter. Assets are systems that pay you. Jobs are systems that drain you. And here's the final shift most people never make. The wealthy don't wait for permission. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They build imperfect systems and refine them over time. Perfection delays wealth. Iteration accelerates it. This is why speed beats intelligence, not reckless speed, decisive speed, the ability to move, learn, and adjust. Money flows to people who act, not to people who hesitate forever. In the next chapter, we'll confront the most dangerous illusion of all, the belief that someday things will click on their own. That moment never comes. But when you understand how to force momentum, everything changes. Chapter 10, Why Someday is the most expensive lie you'll ever believe, how momentum is created, and why most people never feel ready. Someday. It sounds harmless, comfortable, safe. Someday I'll start saving. Someday I'll invest. Someday I'll learn how money really works. Someday I'll take control. But someday is not a plan. It's a delay disguised as hope. And hope, without action, is one of the most expensive habits a human being can have. Because while you're waiting for someday, time is moving. Money is compounding for someone else. Opportunities are passing quietly. Momentum is being built, just not by you. Here is the truth no one teaches. You never feel ready before momentum starts. You only feel ready after momentum exists. Confidence doesn't come first. Clarity doesn't come first. Motivation doesn't come first. Movement does. Most people think they need certainty to act. The wealthy understand something radically different. Action creates certainty. This is why waiting is so dangerous. Waiting feels logical. Waiting feels responsible. Waiting feels smart. But waiting keeps you trapped in analysis. And analysis without execution becomes paralysis. Momentum is not created by giant moves. It's created by small decisions made consistently. One account opened, one skill practiced daily, one habit changed, one expense questioned, 1 hour redirected. These seem insignificant until they stack. Momentum is cumulative, and once it starts, it becomes self-reinforcing. Action leads to feedback. Feedback leads to adjustment. Adjustment leads to improvement. Improvement leads to belief. This belief is not a prerequisite, it's a byproduct. This is why the rich look decisive. They are not more certain. They are simply more willing to move before certainty arrives. They understand that mistakes are tuition. Poor thinking avoids mistakes. Wealth thinking budgets for them. And here's the most important insight of all. Momentum is fragile at the beginning, but unstoppable once established. The hardest part is the first step. Not because it's difficult, but because it's lonely. No applause, no validation, no visible results, just effort without evidence. This is where most people quit. They mistake silence for failure, but silence is normal. Results lag behind actions, always. Money is slow at first, then fast. Progress hides until it doesn't. This is why patience is a financial superpower. Those who quit early fund the success of those who stay. Because wealth is not built in moments of excitement. It's built in periods of boredom. Routine beats inspiration. Consistency beats intensity. And once momentum exists, something magical happens. Your environment starts responding to you. People appear, information becomes relevant. Opportunities reveal themselves, not because the world changed, but because you did. Momentum sharpens perception. You begin seeing possibilities where you once saw limits. And that's when someday disappears. It gets replaced by today. In the next chapter, we'll break down how the wealthy train their attention, because where your attention goes, your money follows. Chapter 11, Attention is Currency. Why what you focus on determines what you earn. Your money does not disappear randomly. It flows, quietly, consistently, in the direction of your attention. This is one of the most misunderstood laws of wealth. People believe money is controlled by income, by luck, by opportunity, by external forces. But long before money ever moves, attention moves first. What you think about daily becomes what you manage. What you manage becomes what you improve. What you improve becomes what pays you. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are broke not because they lack opportunity, but because their attention is constantly hijacked by noise, by fear-based headlines, by comparison, by entertainment designed to distract, not empower. Attention is finite. Every minute you spend focused on consumption is a minute you're not focused on creation. Every hour spent scrolling someone else's success is an hour not spent building your own system. The wealthy understand this deeply. They guard their attention the way others guard their money, because attention is the first form of capital. Before money exists, there is awareness, and awareness compounds faster than cash. This is why two people can earn the same income yet end up in completely different financial realities. One person tracks, the other avoids. One notices patterns, the other ignores them. One asks better questions, the other numbs discomfort. Wealth begins when attention shifts from how do I survive to how does this system work? The moment you start observing money, instead of reacting emotionally to it, you gain leverage. You notice leaks, you notice habits, you notice triggers. You stop blaming circumstances and start mapping cause and effect. This is where power returns, because once you see the pattern, you can change the outcome. The rich don't obsess over money. They obsess over systems that move money. They study cash flow the way athletes study performance. Not emotionally, not judgmentally, but strategically. And here's the key shift. They focus less on how much they make and more on how money behaves once it arrives. Does it disappear? Does it multiply? Does it get trapped? Does it escape into liabilities? Where attention goes, money follows. If you focus on spending, money exits. If you focus on saving, money pauses. If you focus on investing, money grows. Attention determines direction. This is why budgeting alone doesn't create wealth. Budgeting without intention becomes restriction. But awareness with purpose becomes expansion. The wealthy don't track money to feel controlled. They track it to feel powerful. They want clarity, because clarity reduces fear, and fear is the most expensive tax of all. Fear causes hesitation. Hesitation causes missed opportunities. Missed opportunities compound into regret. Attention dissolves fear. When you understand what's happening, you stop panicking. You stop reacting. You start deciding. And decisions, not effort, create wealth. In the next chapter, we'll expose why most people are trained to chase income instead of building leverage, and how to reverse that conditioning permanently. Please like and subscribe if you want a better future for your children, your family, and yourself. It's very difficult to achieve success today, but I'm sure you'll succeed. All you have to do is learn and discover new things. Chapter 12. Why Chasing Income Keeps You Trapped. The illusion of hard work and the truth about leverage. Most people are taught the same rule from childhood. Work harder, earn more, everything will fix itself. And for a while, it seems true. You get a raise. You feel relief. You breathe easier. But then something strange happens. The stress returns. The pressure comes back. The ceiling appears again. This is not failure. This is the income trap. Income is linear, time-bound, fragile, and yet society treats income like the ultimate solution. The wealthy know better. They understand something most people never learn. Income is not the goal. Leverage is. Leverage is what allows effort to multiply without your presence. Income pays bills. Leverage builds freedom. When you chase income alone, you trade time for money. When you build leverage, you trade systems for results. This is the dividing line between those who feel stuck and those who quietly pull away. The problem isn't that people work too little. It's that they work inside systems they don't control. A job is a system where your upside is capped. Your time is rented. Your growth depends on permission. Even high-paying jobs follow this structure. More income does not break the cage, it just decorates it. This is why people earning six figures still feel anxious, because security does not come from income, it comes from control. The wealthy pursue control relentlessly, control over how money is earned, how money flows, how money compounds. They build assets instead of chasing raises. Assets don't care if you're tired. Assets don't need motivation. Assets don't burn out. They operate on design. This is why leverage matters more than effort. Effort exhausts. Leverage scales. And leverage doesn't require genius. It requires awareness. Awareness that your value is not your labor. Your value is your ability to create systems. A system can be a skill that compounds, a product that sells repeatedly, an investment that grows quietly, a process others rely on. Once built, it works without your constant involvement. This is how the rich escape the income loop. They stop asking, "How can I make more?" and start asking, "How can this work without me?" That question changes everything. It shifts your mind from survival to architecture. You stop thinking like an employee of your life and start thinking like the designer. The moment you understand leverage, you stop panicking about speed. Because leverage rewards patience. Income demands urgency. Leverage rewards strategy. And this is why hard work alone keeps people stuck. Hard work without leverage just makes you better at staying busy. In the next chapter, we'll break down the exact psychological shift required to move from effort-based thinking to system-based wealth. The moment where money stops feeling heavy and starts feeling predictable. If your life changed 100% in your favor this year, what would be the first sign? Describe it. Chapter 13, The Mental Shift from Effort to Architecture. How wealth begins. When you stop pushing. There is a moment, quiet, internal, almost invisible, when a person stops trying to force money and starts designing it. This moment is not loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or sudden success. It arrives as a realization that pushing harder is no longer the answer. Most people live in effort mode. Effort mode sounds like this: I just need to work more. I need another hustle. I need to push through. Effort mode treats money like resistance. Push harder, strain more, sacrifice deeper. And effort mode feels noble. It earns praise. It earns sympathy. It earns exhaustion. But it rarely earns freedom. The wealthy operate in architecture mode. Architecture mode asks different questions. What structure produces results automatically? What system removes my presence from the equation? What continues even when I stop? This is the mental shift that changes everything. Effort focuses on motion. Architecture focuses on direction. Effort focuses on hours. Architecture focuses on design. Effort says, do more. Architecture says, make it inevitable. This is where most people get confused. They assume architecture is complex. It's not. Architecture is simply intentional repetition. Anything that produces value repeatedly without your constant input is a system. A system doesn't need brilliance. It needs clarity. The wealthy do not wake up more motivated than you. They wake up more structured. Their success doesn't come from intensity. It comes from alignment. They remove friction. They reduce decisions. They eliminate randomness. They understand a powerful truth. If money depends on how you feel today, you will always feel anxious tomorrow. Architecture removes emotion from income. This is why the rich look calm during chaos. Their wealth isn't tied to today's energy level. It's tied to systems they built months or years ago. Most people never make this shift because it feels uncomfortable. Architecture requires patience. Effort gives immediate exhaustion-based validation. Architecture gives delayed results. And the human mind hates delay. This is why discipline matters more than ambition. Discipline allows you to build what doesn't reward you immediately. Discipline allows you to think long-term, while others burn short-term energy. Architecture mode also requires humility. You must accept that your current approach is insufficient. That working harder inside a flawed system only deepens the flaw. This is not self-criticism. This is self-respect. You stop blaming yourself and start questioning the structure. And once you do, money stops feeling mysterious, because money is not emotional. Money follows design. It flows where systems allow it. This is why wealthy people obsess over processes, routines, automation, compounding behaviors. They don't chase money. They build containers for it. And once the container exists, money naturally fills it. In the next chapter, we'll explore why most people sabotage themselves right at the edge of this shift, and how fear disguises itself as comfort to keep you exactly where you are. Chapter 14. Comfort is the most expensive addiction. Why staying the same feels safer than becoming wealthy. Right before growth, something strange happens. Resistance disguises itself as reason. You don't feel fear, you feel logic. You don't hear panic, you hear explanations. I'll start later. This isn't the right time. I need more information. I'm not ready yet. This is not laziness. This is comfort defending itself. Comfort is subtle. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It tells you, stay where you are. At least you know this pain. Don't risk embarrassment. Don't change what already works, even if it barely works. Most people never become wealthy not because they lack intelligence, but because they are deeply attached to familiarity, even when familiarity is draining them. The mind prefers predictable discomfort over unfamiliar possibility. That's why people stay in jobs they hate. That's why they repeat financial habits that don't work. That's why they scroll, consume, and postpone. Comfort doesn't feel like an enemy. It feels like home. But comfort has a hidden cost. Every year you stay the same, you pay with potential. Every month you delay, you compound regret. Wealth requires a temporary break from comfort, not recklessness, not chaos, but intentional discomfort, the kind where you stretch, the kind where you feel uncertain, the kind where your identity starts to loosen. This is where fear appears, not fear of failure, fear of becoming someone new. Because becoming wealthy changes how people see you, how you see yourself, how you relate to time, money, and responsibility. And the old version of you resists that loss. This is why self-sabotage shows up right when things begin to shift. You miss deadlines. You abandon momentum. You convince yourself it wasn't that important. Comfort pulls you back, not because it loves you, but because it wants to survive. The wealthy learned this early. They stopped negotiating with comfort. They didn't eliminate it. They scheduled it after progress. They made discomfort the entry fee for freedom. And here's the truth most people never hear. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that the old system is breaking. Growth feels unstable because it is. You are rewiring habits, reprogramming identity, rebuilding your relationship with effort and reward. That process is supposed to feel awkward. If it feels smooth, nothing is changing. The difference between those who escape financial struggle and those who stay trapped is not intelligence. It's tolerance for uncertainty. The wealthy tolerate uncertainty in exchange for control later. The poor tolerate certainty in exchange for stress forever. This chapter is not asking you to suffer. It's asking you to notice what you are protecting. Is it peace or is it familiarity? Because they are not the same. In the next chapter, we will reveal how money actually rewards behavior, not intentions, and why consistency beats brilliance every single time. Chapter 15. Money rewards, behavior, not intention. Why consistency beats talent every time. Money does not respond to motivation. It does not care how inspired you feel. It does not listen to your goals. It does not reward good intentions. Money responds to patterns, what you repeat, what you tolerate, what you do when no one is watching. This is one of the most uncomfortable truths about wealth. You can want it deeply. You can visualize it daily. You can understand every principle intellectually and still stay broke. Because money does not move toward desire. It moves toward behavioral alignment. People say, I want to be rich, but their habits say something else. They consume more than they create. They react instead of plan. They seek comfort instead of leverage. They wait for clarity instead of building momentum. Money listens to the habits, not the words. This is why some people with average intelligence quietly build wealth, while others with massive potential stay stuck for decades. Consistency is invisible at first. It looks boring. It feels repetitive. It lacks drama. But consistency compounds. Every small aligned action stacks. Every disciplined decision strengthens identity. Every repeated behavior trains the brain to expect progress. Wealth is built through boring excellence, doing the right thing long after the excitement fades, showing up when motivation is gone, repeating actions that don't produce immediate applause. This is where most people fail. They rely on emotional energy. When they feel motivated, they act. When they feel tired, they stop. When life gets heavy, discipline disappears. But money doesn't care about your emotional weather. It rewards systems. The wealthy don't ask, "Do I feel like it today?" They ask, "What does the system require?" They automate discipline. They design routines that remove decision fatigue. They create structures that make progress inevitable. They reduce reliance on willpower. Because willpower is unreliable, systems are not. This is why habits matter more than hustle. Hustle burns out. Habits compound. One intense week cannot replace one consistent year. One breakthrough idea cannot replace daily execution. One lucky moment cannot replace prepared repetition. Money flows to those who become predictable producers of value. Predictable, reliable, consistent. And here's the part most people misunderstand. Consistency does not mean perfection. It means returning quickly after failure. The wealthy fail constantly. They miss goals. They miscalculate. They lose money. But they don't disappear. They adjust. They refine. They return. That return speed is everything. Most people quit too early, not because the path doesn't work, but because progress feels slower than expected. They underestimate time. They overestimate effort. They abandon systems before compound interest can activate. Wealth requires patience with momentum. You don't feel the growth at first. You measure effort, not results. You doubt yourself. Then suddenly, something shifts. Income stabilizes. Opportunities appear. Confidence solidifies. But that sudden moment is the result of months or years of invisible alignment. This chapter is not telling you to work harder. It's telling you to work more predictably. Decide what behaviors wealth requires. Repeat them until identity changes. Let money respond naturally. Because money doesn't ask who you want to be. It pays who you already are becoming. In the next chapter, we will break down why most people misunderstand risk and how the wealthy redefine safety in a way that changes everything. Dear viewer, please write in the comments what interested you most in the video. This will help us improve our videos. Chapter 16, The Truth About Risk. Why playing it safe keeps you poor. How the wealthy redefine security. Most people think they avoid risk. In reality, they choose the riskiest option of all. They choose stability over growth. They choose familiarity over expansion. They choose safety today over freedom tomorrow. And they call it responsibility. But let's be honest. Depending on a single income source, trusting systems you don't control, trading time for money with no leverage, that is not safe. That is fragile. The wealthy understand something most people never question. Risk is not what you think it is. Risk is not starting a business. Risk is not investing. Risk is not trying something new. Risk is having no control. When your income depends on one employer, one market, one skill, you are exposed. When your lifestyle requires constant effort just to maintain, you are vulnerable. When your future relies on promises you don't control, you are gambling. The wealthy don't eliminate risk. They reposition it. They move away from concentrated risk and toward diversified control. They build multiple income streams. They develop skills that transfer across industries. They create assets that function without daily input. This is not reckless, it's strategic. The poor ask, what if I lose money? The wealthy ask, what if I lose time? Because money can be replaced. Time cannot. This is why the wealthy are willing to endure short-term discomfort. They accept uncertainty early to eliminate it later. They choose controlled risk now to avoid permanent dependence later. Meanwhile, most people choose comfort and lock themselves into long-term vulnerability. Here's the mental shift that changes everything. Safety is not the absence of risk. Safety is the presence of options. Options come from skills, from networks, from assets, from adaptability. If one income stops, another continues. If one strategy fails, another exists. If one market collapses, opportunity remains. That is real security. But it requires courage at the beginning. You must be willing to look inexperienced, to make mistakes, to face uncertainty without guarantees. This is where most people turn back. They mistake fear for intuition. They mistake discomfort for danger. They mistake unfamiliarity for failure. The wealthy understand that fear is often just the mind protecting an outdated identity. Your brain wants predictability, not prosperity. It wants certainty, not growth. So it warns you. It resists. It creates doubt. Not because you're wrong, but because you're changing. Growth always feels unsafe to the old version of you, and that's okay. The wealthy don't wait until fear disappears. They move with fear present. They calculate downside. They limit exposure. They prepare for mistakes, but they don't freeze. They act. And each action builds confidence. Each experience reduces uncertainty. Each lesson increases control. Eventually, what once felt risky becomes routine, and what once felt safe feels dangerous, because stagnation is the real threat. If you want financial freedom, you must redefine security. Stop asking, how do I avoid risk? Start asking, how do I build resilience? Because resilience creates wealth, and avoidance creates dependence. In the next chapter, we will expose why money flows toward those who take responsibility for outcomes, and why blaming circumstances quietly blocks wealth forever. Chapter 17, Radical Responsibility. The moment wealth becomes inevitable. Why the rich never blame, and the poor always explain. There is a moment, quiet, internal, irreversible, when a person stops waiting to be rescued. That moment is where wealth begins. Not with money, not with opportunity, not with luck, but with responsibility. The wealthy live by a principle so simple it's almost invisible. Everything that happens to me is my responsibility to respond to. Not my fault, not always fair, not always deserved, but always my responsibility. This single mindset shift separates those who build wealth from those who endlessly explain why they can't. Because blame feels good in the short term. It protects the ego. It preserves identity. It offers relief. But blame is expensive. Every time you blame the economy, you give up your power to adapt. Every time you blame your upbringing, you surrender your ability to rewrite your future. Every time you blame your job, your boss, the system, the timing, you hand control to something outside yourself. The wealthy refuse to do that. They understand something uncomfortable but liberating. You cannot control circumstances, but you can control strategy. And strategy determines outcomes. This is why two people can face the same economy, the same obstacles, the same starting point, and end up in completely different realities. One waits for conditions to improve. The other improves their position regardless of conditions. One asks, why is this happening to me? The other asks, what does this require from me? Responsibility is not punishment. It is leverage. The moment you accept responsibility, you gain the right to change things. You stop hoping. You start designing. You stop reacting. You start planning. You stop consuming narratives. You start creating results. This is why wealthy people speak differently. They don't say, "I can't afford it." They say, "How can I afford it?" They don't say, "There's no opportunity." They say, "Where is demand not being met?" They don't say, "That's not my fault." They say, "What's my role in this, and how do I improve it?" This language isn't motivational fluff. It's operational thinking. It forces the mind into solution mode. And once your mind enters solution mode, resources appear, connections emerge, ideas form, paths reveal themselves. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Most people never experience this shift because responsibility feels heavy at first. It removes excuses. It removes victimhood. It removes the comfort of external blame. But what it gives in return is priceless. Control, clarity, momentum. When you stop waiting for permission, you begin to move faster than everyone else. When you stop asking for approval, you begin making progress in silence. When you stop blaming, you stop being stuck. The wealthy understand no one is coming to save you, and that's not depressing. It's empowering. Because if no one is responsible for your future except you, then no one can limit it. Responsibility turns effort into direction. Direction turns action into results. Results compound into wealth. And once you accept this truth, there is no going back. In the final chapter, we will bring everything together and reveal the quiet promise that guarantees wealth for those who commit to this path, not overnight, not effortlessly, but inevitably. Final chapter, the wealth equation. Why this works if you never quit. The quiet promise behind every fortune. Wealth does not arrive with fireworks. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't care about your timeline. Wealth arrives quietly. As a consequence of how you think, how you decide, how you respond, how consistently you act when no one is watching. This audiobook was never about tricks or hacks or shortcuts. It was about understanding how money really works. Money is not random. It is not cruel. It is not unfair. Money is a mirror. It reflects value. It responds to structure. It flows toward clarity, competence, and consistency. The wealthy didn't discover a secret world. They learned the rules of this one, and once you see those rules, you cannot unsee them. You now know that money follows leverage, not effort. That income grows through systems, not sacrifice. That responsibility creates power. That thinking precedes earning. That behavior compounds faster than motivation ever could. You now know why most people stay stuck. They wait for confidence before acting. They wait for clarity before starting. They wait for permission before building. They wait for certainty in a world that never provides it. The wealthy do the opposite. They act while uncertain. They learn while moving. They build while doubting. They refine while failing. And that is the wealth equation. Clarity comes from action. Confidence comes from repetition. Money comes from value multiplied by leverage. Nothing mystical, nothing magical, just principles applied relentlessly. You may not see results immediately, and that's where most people quit. They assume silence means failure. They assume slow progress means wrong direction. They assume discomfort means danger. The wealthy understand something deeper. The early stages of success are always quiet. Roots grow before trees appear. Foundations are poured before buildings rise. Systems are invisible before they become unstoppable. Every fortune looks slow at first. Then it looks obvious. Then it looks inevitable. The only difference between those who make it and those who don't is simple and brutal. They didn't stop. They didn't stop learning. They didn't stop refining. They didn't stop adjusting. They didn't stop when it was boring. They didn't stop when it was lonely. They didn't stop when no one believed yet. They trusted the process long enough for the process to reward them. This is the promise of wealth, not speed, not ease, but inevitability. If you stay aligned, if you keep building value, if you keep thinking in systems, if you keep choosing responsibility over excuses, if you keep upgrading how you think, not just what you earn. You don't need to outwork everyone. You need to outlast the phase where most people quit. And now, the choice is yours. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. Will this be inspiration or instruction? Will this be content or a turning point? Because knowledge without application is entertainment. But applied understanding changes lives. If this audiobook shifted even one belief, one habit, one internal rule, then it has already done its job. And if you're ready to continue this journey, tell us, what topic should we explore next? Mindset? Wealth systems? Discipline? Financial freedom? The path is open. The rules are clear. The game is learnable. Now go play it on your terms. This is not the end. It's the beginning.